All right, folks, I've been using the iPad Pro with the M4 with the Nanotexture display for about 4 months, and I've got a lot to say. I want to compare it today to the glossy display of the other iPad Pro I have at my desk, and I'm going to go over the differences, what I like better, what I don't. I have a lot of experience now using these every single day, the glossy one for many years prior, and this is a big decision. If you're going with the Nanotexture display, you're looking at $1,700 minimum. Granted, you have to start out at 1 terabyte. You can go up to 2 if you need it, but that's a lot of money. On the other hand, if you go with the glossy display version, that starts at $1,000. You're starting at that 256 gigabyte limit. So you're gonna have to decide, is that how much you're willing to spend on an iPad? If you need the space, maybe it's not as big of a decision. You spend the extra $100, get the Nanotexture display, but that's a lot of money. Now, granted, people, if you take care of your iPad, you can have it 6-8 years, no problem, unless you're trading them in every few years. Hopefully you're getting a good trading value, or you hand it to someone else in the family. But that's a lot to consider, knowing how long you may have this device and how much you're spending. You want to make the right decision on what screen you're going to get. Now, granted, they're both excellent displays. You can't go wrong with either. It's just going to come down to little preferences, but I wouldn't lose sleep over it either unless you're a professional that needs a very specific display based on your artistic needs, photo editing, video editing, or you're just outside a lot in the sun. But let's dive into all those points and go over them right now. And stay to the end, and I'll tell you if I'm switching back to the glossy display or if I'm sticking with Team Nano. Let's dig in. So let's talk about the Nanotexture display that I have in front of me. So Apple is following their high-end monitors using this etching process that they do to the glass at the Nanotexture, the nanometer level, I guess. It isn't a coating. That's what some other monitors may do, or devices. They'll use a cheap coating. You'll get a little haze, some bad contrast. But this display, it's just the glass itself, and it's spectacular. The light looks phenomenal. You no longer need a protector on your iPad to get rid of that glare. It's just built onto the glass. And I've never been a big fan of screen protectors to begin with. They look crappy. You see them at the edges. They start to peel after a while. I know there's better ones than others, but I like it all built into the glass. This is a beautiful device. Obviously, they're following in line with some of their high-end displays, which you can get that Nanotexture glass, which is awesome. I don't know if we'll ever see this on an iPhone or other devices, but it's cool that we have options, because you never know what you need. So, if you want the Nanotexture display, Apple's making this for people that work in tough environments, and that could be a multitude of things. Maybe you are using this for being a monitor outside. You're using your iPhones to capture video. Maybe you just like using this at the beach or outside. Hopefully you're not walking around using it as a camera, because we all know that looks a little foolish. But if you're outside, you like reading books, you like scrolling through the web, maybe you work inside but you're under harsh fluorescent lights, maybe you are next to a window, maybe in your home office there's a lot of bad lighting, then Apple has made this for you, and it is going to help a ton. Now, why I did it is for videos just like this. I'm using these harsh overhead lights. I got a camera looking straight down, and I don't want to see the reflection of that light. Now, if I go to the glossy one, you'll probably start to see some of that. If I tilt it, you see all that glare of that huge softbox above me. If I take this guy with the Nanotexture display, you're not going to see that. Now, you will see it on the edges, but that is it. That glass does a heck of a job making sure that light is not bouncing straight back into your retinas. Now, some other videos say you will lose a little saturation, a little contrast, maybe a little sharpness. I honestly would not lose sleep over that. Unless you're doing the most demanding technical work, you have your Apple Pencil, you're editing photos, and it's going to go somewhere beyond Instagram, I don't think you need to worry. You're not going to see it. Unless you're pixel peeping and you're getting your face right up to the screen and comparing it to a glossy screen, you're probably not going to notice. Another reason I bought this is simply eye health. Now, the Nanotexture display did stand out after a while, you know, using it amongst monitors. I got my phone here. Everything has a glossy display for the most part. So after staring at these shiny pieces of glass at work, at home, in the living room, seeing this Nanotexture display for the first time, it kind of throws you off, but you do get used to it. And again, not having all of that light bouncing straight back into your eyes, not seeing, you know, the lights behind you or the windows behind you, that I think has actually been a big plus. And I'll take this glass in more areas of my life. I think it's a good thing. So with these iPads, I've done a ton of testing. I've done stuff like looking at fingerprints, looking straight down with a black background, a white background on the Nanotexture version, the glossy version. I've looked at it from the side, straight on, like I said. I've gone outside, and there are a lot of scenarios where there's a tie, but there's a lot of scenarios where the Nanotexture wins. You know, if you're looking at things on a black background, white background, the Nanotexture display wins. It is better than the glossy version. I'll say when you're looking at the side, you know, the fingerprints stand out on both of them just as much, but you're not looking, you know, sideways on your iPad for the most part. Maybe unless you have someone next to you, but that's not something I would worry about. If you have these screens dimmed down a lot and you're looking straight on, you're gonna see the prints on both. They both look horrible. Not to mention these glasses do not clean well, but the Nanotexture is even worse. I've done tests where I've taken the microfiber cloth. Doesn't matter if it's the one Apple gives you, a different one. I'll clean it. I'd say the glossy one, if you give it some elbow grease, you can get it clean. The Nanotexture, I don't even do it anymore. It's not even worth it because you're not going to get it clean. And I don't know if it's just because of the oils of your skin getting in those etch grooves or what, but I've given up. And the most annoying thing of all is this line that you get across the iPad. I don't know if you can see it quite on the screen. I may have to go to some B-roll, but right here is this line that drives me bonkers. And you know what it's from? It's from the Magic Keyboard. I'll get the Magic Keyboard for you. So on the Magic Keyboard, you kind of have this rubber edge around it that contains the keyboard. And this is what digs into the glass, especially farther away from the hinge. And so that, I think it kind of cleans the screen as you're carrying it around and you have it closed, and it just keeps this extra clean line all the way across your iPad. And so when I'm in bed at night watching YouTube or doing other things on the iPad, I always see this clean band across the screen and it drives me bonkers. Now, I could get a different case or a different keyboard, but frankly, I love the Apple Magic Keyboard. It is perfect. It has the port on it for charging. It has a nice trackpad. It's metal. It's sturdy. There's nothing I can complain about it, but I hope Apple tweaks the design where I don't always have this weird line that's going across the screen of my iPad. It doesn't do it on the glossy version. I'll check the case. Now, the design is different. It doesn't have that rubber kind of stopper along the edges on the older version. And that actually brings up a really good point. I must tell you, this isn't an apples to apples test. This iPad Pro, that is the glossy one, this is my old one. It's a second generation. It doesn't even have the OLED screen. It's gonna have that LED backlit screen. But I'm not comparing the displays, I'm comparing the glass. So I just want that to be a very important note. So I guess my point is invalid. If you were getting a glossy one today with the M4 chip, you're gonna have the same Magic Keyboard case and it's gonna have this rubber along it. So maybe it does screw up the screen and makes that line, but on the Nano version, I can tell you it really stands out and it bothers me. I'd like to see what other people think. So again, here's the Nano, here's the glossy display. Again, this is a Ultra Retina XDR display. This is tandem OLED. It can get much brighter. This is just the regular liquid Retina display. It's LED backlit. Both are fully laminated. Both have an anti-reflective coating. So they're still gonna help with reflections that are around you. You know, if you look at some of the older iPads, there's the ones that my kids have, they do not have a laminated display. They show every light in the entire room. So either of these are gonna do some blocking of reflections. Again, it's just that Nanotexture that's really gonna give you the advantage. Going on with the M4 version with this Nanotexture display, you know, it's 120 Hertz, and this actually drops down to 10 Hertz when the content on the screen is static, just to save battery, which is awesome as far as features go. Now, as far as using the Apple Pencil, I will say, I don't notice a difference on the Nanotexture display versus the Glossy. Some people are saying they feel a difference, that they feel a little bit more of a drag. I'm telling you, I did the earmuff test. I put a pair of earmuffs on so I couldn't hear the difference, because there's a audio difference, but when you drag it, it feels the same. And I honestly think the smudges and oils on the screen matter more to the drag of this pencil on the glass than the texture itself. So again, take earmuffs, get some earplugs. If you have the chance, I don't feel any extra drag on the Nanotexture versus the glass version. They both have a little, you know, stickiness to it with that plastic rubberish tip on the glass. Again, not saying the glass does it, but you will hear an audio difference. I hate the sound of this pencil on just the glossy display. There is no sound. It's just plain glass. And you've gone your whole life, it doesn't matter if it's a pen or a pencil or what it is, you drag it on a surface, you get a little feedback in your ears, right? So I don't like that on the glossy display, but how often am I using this? I keep buying them with every iPad, and I use this once every couple months. But if you're a person that uses the pencil, you will appreciate the feeling on the Nanotexture display just a little bit better. And that's it. I mean, this is a quick video, but those are the main points I want to cover. And that is, it's a lot of money to get the Nanotexture display unless you need the space. If you need 1 or 2 terabytes, then it's not as big of a jump to get the glass if you want it. If you are someone that's working outside, next to windows, under bad lights, get the Nanotexture display if it matters a lot to you. If you want the crispest movies in the world, you want everything to be as sharp as possible, looking good, get the glossy display. That if all you do is watch Netflix, that's the screen for you. If you use the Apple Pencil a lot and you're doing art, I'd probably get the Nano display. But again, if you need pixel perfection where every bit of contrast and saturation and sharpness all matters, all the big words, get the glossy display. If you clean the screens a lot, the Nano's going to be tougher. I have warned you. But I will say, both displays are brilliant. I cannot believe the technology with the battery life, the speed, what you can do through apps on these devices. It's quite incredible. And the displays are better than any monitor you've probably had in your life. It is so clear. It is so smooth. Everything's in super high resolution. It's a marvel of engineering. I can't believe, what a time to be alive, right? Trust me, you get any of these displays, you're gonna be happy. As long as it's an iPad, right? They make the best tablets, Apple, and you're not gonna go wrong. So for me, my next iPad, once this one bites the dust or I go spend a bunch of more money on something fancy that Apple's produced, I'm probably going Nanotexture. I'm used to it, and I appreciate the little edge on just giving my eyes a break, and things look good, and I can make videos like this, and I'm not going to have a million lights in here all reflecting off of it. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it helped think through some of your considerations, and we'll see you on the next one.